friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Abby and this is Jasper, and he's going to be helping me talk to you about my winter TBR bingo today. He might start snoring here in a minute. He's a little tired. So my winter TBR bingo, I did this over the summer and I thought it was a really good way to cross off books that have been on my TBR for a long time. This is 24 books on my bingo card, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about each book. The first book on my card is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. This is a classic. It is about Scrooge, and Scrooge really only cares about himself and his money, and he is visited by 4 ghosts on Christmas Eve. I read this book every year around Christmas time. It is a great reminder for being thankful for what we have over the holidays, and also to be generous, not just in your money but in spirit too. There are things that you can do for others that don't necessarily require a large income. There is an audio book version where Patrick Stewart reads it, and it's so good. It's so good. Next is A Psalm for the Wild Built. This is a very short novel. I believe it's under 200 pages. It is about this future world where robots have gained sentience and they've decided that they are no longer going to work, and a tea monk encounters one of these robots, and so they form a relationship. Most of these books on my TBR are through Kindle Unlimited. I've been really trying to focus on reading more ebooks, so I either own them or they're through Kindle Unlimited. Next we have Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. This is a YA fantasy, and it is the second book in the Shepherd King duology. The first book was One Dark Window, so I'm hopefully going to be picking this up in December because I don't want to take a new series with me into the new year. One Dark Window is about Elspeth, and she lives in this town that is overruled with a mist, and this mist is dangerous. There is a way to get rid of the mist, and so Elspeth is recruited to help take care of this problem. But she is also afflicted by a monster that lives in her head. So this book should continue this series, and hopefully we will see the resolution, and hopefully they'll get rid of the mist, or we'll see. Next is The Nice Guy by Abbi Sabina. This is an office romance, and it is set at an animal clinic. I actually used to work at an animal clinic when I was in high school, and I really loved that job. I honestly kind of wish I still worked with animals in some sort of capacity, but I think it'll be very cute to read this story. Hopefully there's a lot of animals and funny stories with animals. It's also reminding me of Schitt's Creek when Alexa and the vet get together. Like, it's giving me those vibes, so hopefully it'll be cute. Next is Role Playing by Kathy Yardley. This is about 2 middle-aged individuals that meet online in an RPG game, and they decide to meet in real life. It's a grumpy sunshine romance, and so that'll be really cute. I think it'll be interesting reading this perspective because generally speaking romances are like high school age to early 30s, but these people are in their late 40s, and I think one of them's 50. So that'll be refreshing to read, I think. Next is The Housemaid is Watching by Frida McFadden. This is the 3rd book in the Housemaid series. These books are really quick and easy to read. I don't know what the premise is. I just know it's going to be about the housemaid and whatever she decides that she's going to do. This is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. It's popular. It's very hyped. I don't feel like I need to explain this, but I will tell you. It's about a girl named Violet Sorrengail, and she is a student at a war college, and she's training to become a dragon rider. I know there's some romance in here. I'm hoping to get to at least Fourth Wing and see if I like this, and if I do, hopefully pick up the 2nd book before the 3rd book is published. Next is Small Great Things by Jodi Picoult. I have read 19 Minutes by her, and it just really wasn't for me, and I think that all she really writes is legal drama, which that's not my forte at all. This is about a nurse that she is accused of killing an infant. She's an L&D nurse, and she's accused of killing an infant, And I think that I'll find it a little more interesting because I am a nurse and I really enjoy reading stories with healthcare workers. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to picking that up, and that might just be my last Jodi Picoult book. Next is The Moonflowers by Abigail Rose Marie. This book is about an artist named Tig, and Tig is commissioned to paint a portrait of her grandfather. And while she is painting him, she uncovers a lot of family secrets. And I think this will be interesting. Hopefully, there will be a very good family dynamic in this, or maybe they'll have some juicy secrets. Historical fiction's not really my thing, but hopefully they'll make it interesting. Next up is Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. I have seen this everywhere. This book, it's a very popular book. Basically, this woman is in search of a job and she comes across a post for becoming an assistant to a villain, and it sounds really interesting. I think that there's going to be some romance, and I don't really know how they're going to write from the perspective of a villain. I don't really read a lot of those novels, so that'll be different for me, but jumping on that hype train with, Fourth Wing and Assistant to the Villain. This one has been on my TBR for forever. This is Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wang, and I've just heard that it's like the Poppy War meets Avatar The Last Airbender, and I am a huge Avatar The Last Airbender fan. Huge. Actually, Jasper's laying on an Avatar The Last Airbender blanket right now. I love elemental magic. I want all the books regarding elemental magic, and I think that this one is going to hit a real sweet spot for me. Next is Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cochrane. This is a sapphic holiday rom-com, and I like reading the holiday romances at this time of year. I think they're super cute and fun. This will be interesting because it does feature a love triangle. This woman is stuck between marrying for convenience or marrying the love of her life, but those two people that she's stuck picking between are siblings. Next is The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owens. This is kind of reminding me of Lore, almost reading the synopsis. The synopsis sounded a little confusing, but basically it is about this woman who works in an office and she's cursed by Zeus, and she soon finds out that this contest is going on between the gods that happens every 100 years to pick the new ruler of the throne for Olympus, and this woman is picked by Hades. I know that this is part of a series, hopefully not a very long series, but I really enjoy Greek retellings, so this should be a fun and quick read for me. Next is Oceanography of the Moon by Glendy Vanderraa. I loved Where the Forest Meets the Stars, and Glendy just seems like such a cool, down-to-earth person. Like, she just posts a bunch of nature photographs and pictures of her chickens, but I really loved her descriptions and her relationships in Where the Forest Meets the Stars, so I have a feeling that the Oceanography of the Moon is going to do a wonderful job as well. This book is about a woman named Riley, and she returns to her family farm after some unexpected death in her family, and on this farm she finds a stranger who is a best-selling novelist, and he is there trying to get out of his writer's block, and I have a feeling that there's going to be a little bit of romance between them. Next up, we have What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. I told you guys that I've read this before. I haven't. I got this book confused with Follow Me to Ground, so I'm going to be picking this up soon, hopefully in the next 3 months, because this TBR runs from December 1st to February 28th. What Moves the Dead is a reimagining of The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. There seems to be a lot of creepy aspects, such as possessed animals and overgrowth of mushrooms or fungus, and it just sounds really eerie. Plus, T. Kingfisher, she paints a good gothic setting. On my Audible, I have My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. He's kind of a hit or miss author for me. I did not really care for Final Girls, but I thought the Southern Book Club Guides to Slaying Vampires was pretty good. And then the last book that I read by him was How to Sell a Haunted House, and I really liked that one. So hopefully this one will hit the nail on the head. Basically, it is about two teenagers, and one of them becomes possessed by the devil, and her best friend tries to have her exorcised or tries to solve this problem on her own. Next is The 7-Year Slip. I have read Ashley Poston's other two books, which would be The Dead Romantics and A Novel Love Story, and I really enjoyed both of them, so I really like her writing. The 7-Year Slip sounds kind of confusing, to be honest, but it's about this woman named Clementine, and she goes to her late aunt's apartment and finds a stranger there. Turns out he is living 7 years in the past, and she is 7 years in his future. But in this apartment, they're able to meet at the same time because this apartment is magical. I have the Pumpkin Spice Cafe and the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore on my TBR. They should be coming through in my library very shortly, so I figured I would put them on there. Even though we are past fall, moving into winter, I think that they're still going to be very cozy reads. They're both romances set in the town of Dream Harbor. That's all I know about these books. But I see a lot of people reading them, and I know that they have been sold out of a lot of places. They're hard to find and get your hands on. I know that, at least a physical copy. Next up is How My Neighbor Stole Christmas. This sounds like a Grinch retelling. Features a grump meets a jolly elf romance with a fake dating trope. I think that this sounds really cute. And while I'm not a huge fan of fake dating, sometimes if it's done right, I can get on board. So I'm going to give it a shot. It is also a book club book for two of my book clubs, so I should be picking it up shortly because we will be discussing it at the end of December. I have The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. This is the classic. Dorothy gets swept away by a tornado and ends up in the land of Oz, and she needs to find the wizard to help send her home. And along the way, she meets some unlikely friends and comes across an even more unlikely enemy. I have this beautiful edition too. This is the Puffin Chalkboard edition, and I just think it's beautiful. The release of the Wicked movie definitely has me wanting to pick up the original Wizard of Oz. Next is Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. I really like her writing. I have read several of her books and they do not miss. This book is about a woman named Fleur, and she can predict somebody's death down to the day. She decides to hold a living wake, but she doesn't tell her family members whose death this is for. So everybody shows up expecting it to be them, and a lot of family secrets start coming out. Next up is Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. I was supposed to read this in October for one of my book clubs, and I just didn't get around to it, so I wanted to put it on a TBR bingo. This is such a great movie. I think that the book is going to be great. Actually, one of my best friends did tell me that the book and the movie are different, but the book is still worth reading. So I should be picking up soon on my friend's recommendation. This book is about sisters that want to run away from their magical family. They're always told that they're witches and they have these powers, and they just don't want that. So one of them gets married and has children, and then the other one runs away, but they end up finding their way back to each other, almost like it's magic. And then the last book on my list is Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. I read The Once and Future Witches by her, and it was not my favorite, so hopefully this one will be a little bit better. The Starling House synopsis wasn't really clear when I read it, but it is about the Starling House and two people named Arthur and Opal, and them trying to save this house, I think, from what I understood. Basically, Opal finds a home in this house, and Arthur is the last heir to this home. I don't know if there's a romance. I don't know what their relationship is, but I am there for the gothic fantasy vibes. If you guys are interested in doing your own TBR bingo, I will have a template down below in the description. You can just open that up, make your own little TBR bingo. And if you do decide to do this, let me know. Let me know what you're going to be reading the next few months. Have you guys read any of these books? If so, let me know in the comments down below. And if you don't know what to comment a little snowman, because we are getting into winter. It's getting a little bit colder where I live. And I have just been enjoying cozying up in my home with my dogs. I'll see you guys soon in a new video, and always happy reading. Sorry, just got a text. Oh, let me just tell you exactly how many pages it is. It's a very dramatic sigh. Play by Abbi. I love that. It's my name. Why can't I say my name? Girl named Soren. Soren Gal. Violet. You know who you are if you're watching. But with the release of the Oz movie, or the Oz movie, this book is about a woman named Fleur. Fleur. This book is about a woman named Fleur and or Fleur. Fleur. It's probably short for Florence.